Gavin, thank you very much for your time today. Welcome to the Eastlight Academy. Could you just start by introducing yourself, please?
Yeah, hi, I'm Gavin Smart. I'm the Chief Executive of the Chartered Institute of Housing, which is the professional body for people who work in housing across the whole of the UK and beyond.
Excellent. First question, tell us more about the CIH. What does it do? What's its purpose? How long has it been around for?
So the CIH is the professional body for people who work in housing. That means that our members are individual housing professionals. We're unusual in the UK context because we operate across all 10 years and across every country in the United Kingdom. We also have an international membership. We've got branches in Canada, Hong Kong, Ireland. We have an international membership beyond that as well. And actually, I always say to people that CIH exists to do three things. We exist for our members to provide them with the information and the advice that they need to do their jobs really, really well. We exist to train, educate and qualify the housing profession, and we exist also to be what we call the public voice of housing, which is the reference to the fact that we do quite a lot of policy advocacy work. Not all professional bodies do that, but we do that, and when we do that, because we have a royal charter, we're required to act in the public interest. That's why we talk about the public voice of housing. And in terms of our history, we're very, very old. We're more than 100 years old. And we trace our roots right back to the start of the housing profession with Octavia Hill and her kind of acolytes who founded an organisation called Society of Women Housing Managers, which later merged with a West Midlands Institute of Housing, and gradually we became the CIH that you know today.
So this is really important, isn't it? Because professionalism in housing is how we make sure that residents get decent services. So how do you adjudicate that? How do you administer that for the sector?
We do that by trying to influence, by trying to set out what we think good looks like, by trying to set out what we think professionalism is. We have a set of professional standards which we advocate for and teach, and our view of professionalism and good practice runs through all the training and education and qualifications that we provide.
What kind of training and things do you offer to people?
We do two things actually in the training and education space. So CIH is an academy. We award qualifications with people through courses to gain qualifications from level 2 all the way up to level 5. But we're also actually an awarding body, which means we license our own academy and other academies and education providers across the country to award qualifications. So that means we recognise universities, we recognise academies, other training and education organisations. So we play both of those roles, but importantly, a lot of people actually study for their qualifications in housing via the CIH.
And is there a role for residents at all within CIH qualifications? And what, I suppose my question really is, for you, is it important that residents are involved with their landlord and how their estates are run?
Well, it's certainly very important that residents are involved with their landlords and have an absolute say and a voice in not only, I think, how estates are run, but in the strategic choices that the organisation makes. And what organisation would not want to be informed by its customers and the people it works with and for? At CIH, we do run training courses expressly targeted at tenants. We have a discounted rate of tenant membership. So we're keen to help tenants and residents to skill up, to build their knowledge, and in many cases actually choose to follow a career in housing themselves. But most importantly, we would absolutely be advocates that the voice of the tenant and the resident needs to be at the heart of the way in which housing organisations are run.
You also look to influence government policy through the work that you do at the CIH. Can you tell us a bit about that and what that looks like?
Yes, so we look across a broad range of government policy. We particularly focus in on housing policy, on welfare policy, on issues where housing touches health and social care. And we always try to advocate in favour of the public interest. So we would say that we try to distill what the public interest is by using the evidence to tell us, are the changes that we're advocating for likely to move us towards a housing system that's more functional, that works for more people more of the time rather than away from it. And we will advocate across the housing, welfare, health, social care piece where we think that there's change that needs to be made. And we will do that using all of the tools that you would expect an advocacy organisation to use. We'll have policy statements, we'll do research, we'll use media and press releases, we'll lobby in Parliament with MPs and decision makers, a very sort of polite, by any means necessary, with a view to getting to a better settlement for housing for the people who live in the UK.
Can you give us an example perhaps of where recently you've succeeded in this?
Yes,
or not succeeded in this?
So certainly we, along with other organisations, were very concerned about the degree to which government was not operating the benefit cap and other elements of the benefit framework to reflect the cost of living crisis. We lobbied quite hard on that, and you'll know that in the mini budget the government actually took the decision to uprate the cap and other elements of the benefit framework by inflation. So that's an example of us of having an impact. A longer term impact would be we made the case for council housing to be able to move to a more independent self-financing framework. That was a success. We regularly lobby government on details of regulation policy, on investment policy more widely.
So looking forward, what do you think are the really big things coming down the road in terms of government policy that you're really keen to influence?
So I think there are two distinct sets of challenges here actually. So there is change coming through in the regulatory framework for housing. There's a new consumer standard which will place a much greater emphasis on the consumer experience, the tenant and resident voice. How that pans out in practice is a really important piece of work for us because we think that's intimately connected with what it means to do housing in a really professional way. Mm-hmm. The government has also had a review of professionalism in housing and they have announced that they're going to give the Secretary of State a power to direct the regulator, for the regulator to issue a standard about competency, experience and skills. We see that as being very, very closely connected with professionalism, and we will be lobbying very hard to try to get to the best possible framework there to promote the skills, the knowledge, the abilities that we think are necessary to do the job really well. There's a second set of issues which are all around how we address the catastrophic affordability challenges that we have as a country. That's about government investment in new housing supply. It's about the welfare framework. It's about some of the details of planning. There's a lot of moving parts there, and we want to be present in all of those discussions.
So what are professional standards in housing and why are they so important?
So professional standards in housing are important because they are about doing the right thing in the right way at the right time to respond to what's in front of you. At CIH, we've done a lot of work across the last couple of years to build a professional standards framework for housing professionals, and that actually has 7 characteristics in it. It talks about integrity, about advocacy, about ethics, about being knowledgeable, about being skilled, about showing leadership and about being inclusive. And the point that I think is really important to focus on there is that of those 7 characteristics which I've described to you, only 2 are about things you know and things you're able to do, and the other 5 are about behaviours, attitudes, values and ethics, because we would argue that actually it's that component that sets professionals apart from people who just happen to know some stuff and are able to do some stuff. So to be a professional and have professional standards is the full package. You need the behaviours, the values and the attitudes to go alongside the skills and the knowledge.
So ultimately, why would you suggest that anybody, if they work in housing or if they're an active resident, get involved in the CIH?
So I would advocate that people get involved in CIH for a number of reasons. So first of all, actually, one of the really important roles that professional bodies play is they give people access to a professional network. They give you access to people doing the same kind of work as you, who become your peer group. Our members tell us, these are the people that we talk to at the point in our careers where things might get a bit sticky, where it gets a bit difficult, where you don't know what to do. Having a peer group that you can rely on is something that your professional network can give you. But more than that, choosing to join your professional body is a statement of kind of self-recognition as a professional. It's a voluntary commitment to a code of conduct, a code of standards, to a professional framework, to an ethical framework, and it says, I self-identify as being a professional, and I think it's important that I do my job in a professional way, and that being a professional is about knowing some stuff and having some skills, but it's about much, much more than that. It's about how you put that knowledge, how you put those skills into practice, the behaviours, the values, the attitudes and the ethics that you show, and that's what sets professionals aside from people who just know some stuff, because it's about judgment in context and making decisions in a way that is right and doing the right thing for the situation that's in front of you.
Well, you have recruited at least one new member in the last 15 minutes. So, Gavin Smart, Chief Executive of the Chartered Institute for Housing, thank you so much.
Thank you.